regard to what are the rights of the wives.
طيب.
And
طيب. The question our brother asks with regards to marital rights, the rights of the wife upon the husband, his responsibility, what will he be required to do, and what will he be asked about by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say, as for this being from the first things that the slave will be asked about and questioned about on Yawm al-Qiyamah, the rights of the wife, and I haven't heard of that. And my knowledge is limited, Wallahu alam. I've never heard of that being the very first thing or from the first things that a man will be asked about the rights of his wife. We know in general he will be asked about his family, yes. That Allah will ask a man about his ra'iyah. He will be asked about his flock. Okay, his sheep, he'll be asked about them. Yes, there are hadith for this. But specifically mentioning from the very first things to be asked about the rights of his wife, I've never heard of that. Allahu alam. As for the rights of the wife, then we say, it is mentioned in the hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ أَعْطَى كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍ حَقَّهُ, that Allah has given everyone who deserves something his due right. And it allows no doubt that the woman in Islam, she deserves something which is great. A woman who is the wife, who is a mother, who is a sister, she has huquq, rights, things that she deserves. And from the most important of those rights upon her husband is firstly, is for him to live with her in a good, honorable fashion. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Allah says, and deal with women kindly. Treat them, and that word once again is mentioned, ma'ruf. كُلُّ مَا عُرِفَ حُسْنُهُ. Anything which is good and wholesome. Taking your wife out to dinner, is that considered ma'ruf? Then you should do that. Buying your wife some flowers, spending time with her, talking to her kindly, so on and so forth, helping her with anything which is ma'ruf. Allah says, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Allah says, treat them, live with them kindly. If we had no other verse in the Quran or Hadith, that would be sufficient to show us the rights of the wife. That's yakfi. Treat them kindly, plus. Everything which is in your custom and in your culture to treat your woman kindly, then you are required to do. Also from those rights is that the husband educate his wife. That he teach her her deen and the basics of a religion that she needs to know about. And many people, unfortunately, when they talk about marital rights, they mention, the first thing that they mention is food and drink, paying the bills, which is important and which is obligatory. This is from the deen, yes. As the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned, تُطْعِمُهَا إِذَا طَعِمْتَ. Feed her when you feed yourself. But we want to talk about the foundation, the important things, is that you teach your wife how to get closer to her Lord. And many husbands, unfortunately, may Allah forgive us, they are negligent with regards to educating their family members. And then later on when they have problems with their children and their wives, they go and run to the masjid. Divorce, so on and so forth, because there's no Islamic education. Also from those obligations is that a man make sure that his wife remain chaste and pure. Meaning that it is upon him to fulfill his wife's sexual desires in the lawful manner. And this is very important. Many brothers, they are negligent with regards to this. They feel as if it's my rights, the only thing that's important. Is that when a man wants to be with his wife, she has to answer. That's what the hadith says, right? She has to do it when I say so. But she's a woman, she has desires also. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ minha. Allah says, and tell the believing women to lower their gaze and to guard their chastity and do not display their beauty except for that which is outwardly apparent. So the woman has a desire. She has a shahwa, and is upon the man to keep her chaste. And that is whatever a person being romantic with his wife and so on and so forth is important. That a man keep his wife chaste. Wallahu la yastahi min al-haq. Allah is not shy from the truth. There's no shyness in our religion. Then we get to that which is known to everybody, is that the person has to feed his wife, he has to clothe his wife, he has to provide lodging or housing for his wife, and he has to provide her with medicine or medical treatment when she needs it. We say al-it'am, feeding, al-kiswa, al-sukna, wal-ilaj. These four things here: feeding, clothing, housing, and medical treatment and medicine, whatever that medical treatment may be, the hijama, the doctors, whatever the case may be. These are the most important rights of the wife upon her husband. And all of these rights go back to what is customary and what is easy for you according to your means. If Allah has blessed you with wealth, then it's impermissible for you to be stingy to your wife. You cannot have, mashallah, a good job. Allah has made you affluent, and yet you give your wife scraps. It's haram. It's haram. It is not from the dunya, the worldly life and extravagance. Allah is giving you that. So that's easy for you to do. If it's not easy for you to do, then you give what you have the ability to give. Whether it's lobster and steak, or whether it is bread and water. Al-Muhim is that you feed her from that which you eat and the means that Allah Azza wa Jalla has allowed you to have. So the most important rights and the most substantial rights, once again, is to teach your wife according to what you know. And this shows we should learn ourselves. Is to teach your wife about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to remind her of Allah and to teach about the things that she needs to know. Your wife needs to know about the hijab. What is the correct hijab? What is the incorrect hijab? Many Muslim women, they come to the masjid and they wear perfume. And that's haram. Most of them don't know. Most of the husbands don't know that it's haram. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, إِذَا شَهِدَتْ إِحْدَاكُنَّ الْعِشَاءَ الْآخِرَةَ فَلَا تَمَسَّ الطِّيبِ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. The hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. He says, when one of you comes to the masjid for Salat al-Isha, she should not wear perfume. She shouldn't touch perfume. He also says, وَلْيَخْرُجْنَا تَفِلَاتٍ يعني غَيْرْ مُتَعَطِّرَاتٍ غَيْرْ مُتَطَيِّبَاتٍ. He says, let those women leave their homes without any perfume on. So the point that we're trying to get to is that if a woman comes to the masjid and she wears perfume, her hijab is improper, and she didn't know, who does the sin fall upon? It falls upon the husband, the man, because that is a piece of basic information he's required to know. وَهَكَذَا, and anything else. Then, that a man, he live with his wife kindly and respectfully. He treat her like someone who's of value. Not like a servant and a slave. Not like a person who's lower than him. But you treat her honorably. You treat her honorably. You educate her. You treat her honorably. And that you protect her. And you make sure that you fulfill her desires in a lawful manner. And this is extremely important. Many people, they unfortunately don't spend no time with their families. And then that's a mushkila, that's a problem. And also that you feed, give her drink according to your means, clothing according to your means. You make sure she's in a safe, comfortable place according to your means. And any medical treatment that she needs or something like this, you have to provide those things. And that's the main skeleton. As for the flesh and the skin, things like this, the other necessities of the household, and then they fall in place. But they're going to fall under one of those main tiers. That if you give your wife a house or apartment, she's going to need furniture, washing machine, refrigerator, so on and so forth. Clear, inshallah? And this, is something that needs to be an entire lecture. An entire lecture needs to be done on this. Many people just don't know. And some people, they know, but they need to be reminded and educated. And they need it to be explained like this. That this is real. This is not just a fairy tale type of religion. This is an obligation upon you with regards to your wife. And Allahu A'lam. وإياكم.